Hi, my name is Elin and welcome to Elin's Reading Life. I decided to sit outside today to shake things up and I'm gonna do the Racing to Read book tag. That the Reading Rush created. So, Ariel Bissett and Raylene Lemay. The first question is Warm Up, a book that stretches your mind. And for that, I chose Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. It's a book told in verse, and it's about a guy and his brother is killed, and then he goes to get revenge on the person who killed him. So he goes into this elevator, and on each floor the elevator stops, and someone new from his life comes in and talks to him about the situation and tells him something new. And so it's a story about gun violence and the cycle of violence and stuff. So I thought that stretches your mind. Then we have a start line. What's a book that you started but never finished? I have DNF'd quite a lot of books. Like, not a lot, but a few. And one of them is A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. I've actually DNF'd both the physical book once and the audiobook. I thought it was really boring. I live next to a road, so sorry about the noise. What was the saying? Right, I Game of Thrones. Yeah, I thought it was really boring. I didn't care about any of the characters, and it had incest, and yeah, I didn't like it, so I DNF'd that. Then we have Sprint, a book that you read really quickly, and for that I chose A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, which has illustrations in it, and it's quite short, so it went by quite fast. And that's a book about a guy and his mother is sick, and then a monster comes and visits him at night, and the monster tells the boy 3 stories that's supposed to help him, and then at the end the boy has to tell the monster the truth. So that was a quick read, but really sad read. I cried. Then we have Marathon, What's Your Favorite Long Book? And that is The Diviners by Libba Bray, which is 578 pages. I don't read that many long books, so yeah. And that is one of my favorite books of all time. So it's set in 1920s New York, and Evie, and she has the power that if an object of yours in her hand, she can read it and see the story with the object and what's happened in your life and stuff. And there's a lot of different powers that different people have. And in the first book, chasing down a serial killer. So it's like a paranormal urban fantasy. Historical too. So what's a book that had ups and downs? A lot of books do, but I chose A Number in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, which is the first book in my favorite series, my new favorite series. And it's a fantasy, a YA fantasy, and it's about this girl named Laya, and her family is killed and her brother is taken prisoner, because he was spying on the like government or whatever. And then Leia goes to be a slave at the Blackcliff Academy, which is a military school. And at the military school there's this guy named Elias, and he's a student there, but he doesn't want to be. And their paths cross, and their story. So it's told in dual perspective. In later books, Elias's friend Helene also has a perspective. But yeah, it's really action-packed and just amazing. It has great world building that's inspired by the Roman Empire, I believe. Yeah, it's great. Finish line. A book you were proud to finish. Ferrara chose a book I read for school, which is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I feel like that's one of those books that you are supposed to read in your lifetime, basically. You don't have to, but it's like a classic. So, I feel like most people know what it's about, but it's a dystopian where women basically have no rights, and there's been something has happened that made most people infertile. So the women who aren't infertile are shipped to different families to conceive childs for them. So she's basically raped by the man in the house, and then until she has a child with him, and then she gets shipped off to another family to do it all over again. And it's just horrifying. Then we have Gold Medal, the best book you read during a readathon. And for that I chose a book that I read for the sequel-a-thon in last year. And that is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, which is the sequel to Six of Crows. And it's a YA fantasy set in the Grishaverse. So there's people with powers, and in Six of Crows there's the crows. They perform a heist at the ice court, and you have Nash, Matthias, Cass, Wyland, and Jasper. And did I forget someone? And Nina, of course, Nina. And yeah, people like Nina, she is a heartrender, I think it's called. So she can stop somebody's heart and stuff like that. And there's people who can like do stuff with metal, and people who can like control the wind and stuff. So it's this duology, Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, are books about a group of misfits who can perform heists together, and it's just great. So that's also a favorite book of mine. Then we have Participation Ribbon, an underrated book you wish got more attention. For that I chose my favorite book I've read so far this year. I changed my answer since I did a mid-year book freakout tag, because I hadn't read this book when I filmed that. And that's Unkindness of Ghosts by River Solomon. I feel like not a lot of people talk about it. It's a sci-fi book about Aster, who lives on a spaceship with the remainder of humanity. And they're going to a planet, but they never seem to get there, because they've been going for hundreds of years, I think. And Aster's mother died by suicide, she believes at least, and her mother left behind a lot of journals, and it was written in code. So Aster and her friend Giselle are trying to decipher the code and learn more about the ship and her mother. And the ship is divided into different decks, and on the upper decks live the white and rich and influential and wealthy people, and on the lower decks live the poor and black and people of color. So it's very segregated, and the story is just, it has amazing characters. It has representation for neurodiversity in the main character Aster, and there are lesbians in the book, which are Aster's friends, and then we have representation for mental illness, and also for non-binary identities. So there's, and black representation, of course. The author River Solomon is black. And yeah, it was just the best book I've read so far this year. I just love the characters so much. I was so invested in the story and the world. You know, the spaceship was so interesting. They like had their own sun, and it was just fascinating. And Aster is a kind of doctor, a botanist, and a scientist. Yeah. So it's kind of about, you know, what happens at this spaceship where they've had to leave Earth behind to go to another planet, and how people are treated differently just because of the color of their skin and their class. And it was just great. I feel like I'm not explaining it well, but just read it. It's a lot of action, but it's very, very interesting. And it has great characters, and it's very smart. Because it has, you know, science and stuff. you know, and yeah, I just loved it. So that was the Racing to Read book tag. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe if you want to, and comment down below your answers to these questions if you want. The one I'm most interested in would be, let's see. Yeah, the most interesting to me would be an unrated book you wish more people talked about, like the participation ribbon, an underrated book. So comment down below your favorite underrated book. Bye!